The drums keep a pounding the rhythm to the brain. La-di-da-di-da.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
And away we go. I'm out of vitamin D3. I watched a bunch of videos yesterday. Wheezing. I lost like 3 pounds yesterday. Started to work on the attic leaks myself. I literally drilled the ceiling facing the sky and found the holes where the water was coming in like a spigot. The coffee's hot. Hot to the tot. And for those out there, I would like to...
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Hello. Hello. Hello out there. Hello. I would like to take you on a strange journey. So anyway, I go to one of the box stores to pick up the stuff because this guy who was supposed to do my roof hadn't shown, and it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday late morning. We've got thunderstorms coming tomorrow, right? We'll get to the weather in a second for those of you tuning in for the weather only. And I'm wearing a wine shirt for no known reason. Probably because I have to. When I go, as soon as this show's over, I got to go up and put my work clothes on that have tar on them from yesterday and stuff. So I'm just like, I wasn't going to put on a special showbiz, outfit, whatever you call this thing. Anyway, so I'm up in the attic, and I can look down, because I've got this bird's eye view. That's why I want to build a crow's nest up there. And this guy shows up after me and a friend already came back from the box store, sat down, had lunch. I had a nice big sub yesterday. Now, you explain this, man. I go through a day, I eat healthy, right? Healthy meals, oatmeal with blueberry and plain yogurt in the morning, it's a little bit of cinnamon or raw honey on it or something like that. And then I might make myself some simple, like a soup or a stew, but it's basically was comprised of fresh tomatoes from the garden with some zucchini, no like salts or anything crazy like that. Maybe sliced onions, garlic, some spices and different things like that. I'll have that for an average day and I'll gain a pound or so. Yesterday I ate a fucking submarine sandwich, pardon my F. But the more I think about it, we should all be using profanity. Like, we need to add profanity to the language. But anyway, I ate this, fairly, foot long, whatever, like bigger than a foot long sub. I took some of the bread off. There's too much bread on some of these things. But I was upstairs working, doing that stuff, but it wasn't like it was physically working. I mean, it was kind of draining. You're up there looking up and stuff. I got tar all over everything. Because this stuff was like tar. It was supposed to be a sealant, but I don't know. It just seemed like it was tar. I'm still tired. It's 5:24 a.m., but I went to bed at like 6:30. 6 to 2 would have been 8 hours, but I was up for about 2 hours in the middle of the night, and I couldn't get back to sleep. Be that as it may, so after that sub sandwich and all that stuff, weighed myself this morning anyway, lost weight. But I'm up there and I'm looking down, and finally this guy shows up, and he doesn't have a ladder. He's got some pickup truck. I could see. I'm looking down from this, third this giant view down. And I had a note on my front door, if anybody comes, I'm in the attic, call this number, because I had the phone up there. Because it's like, I'm not going to, I can't hear the door knocking or ringing. So call me. So the guy's smart enough, he finally calls me. Well, I never said I was going to come last week, which he clearly did. Right? And then the rain, that set me back a day. It's like frickin' Tuesday, man. It's going to rain on Thursday. So I sent him away. Sometimes you got to be brave. And then the friend of mine who was the guy who's probably upset about this because, he was instrumental in getting involved in this thing. I did some work for him and he put this whole thing together. And part of payment for some work I did for him was he was going to pay this guy. But I mean, the point of the matter is reality is reality. I was able to do the job cheaper. So which I don't normally do, I texted the friend of mine back and I said, hey, I sent the guy home. I said, I can't wait around for him. He came too late. And I'm going to give you half of what you were going to pay him back. Because I had the envelope that if the guy would have came last week or whenever, or even yesterday. Or would have came yesterday morning even. Not yesterday, I mean the day before yesterday or last week. But even if he would have came yesterday morning, I'd have said, okay, do it. But he didn't. It was getting to be close to noon. So I'm I'm going to the box store. I know I have an idea what I got to do. I'm not looking forward to it. It's a mess up there. I don't not want to go up there. And whatever I wear up there today gets thrown away. Like I say, that's why I got the old, my night shirt, sleeping. This is what some people would call pajamas. They don't have weird pajamas anymore. They just, if you wear something like that, it's considered pajamas, I guess. Well, it's the shirt I sleep in. So I got the shirt I sleep in with one of those Hawaiian shirts on top of it. Yeah, so. Good morning, folks. It's going to be one of those days. I don't know. We probably won't go all that long today since I got to deal with a lot of this stuff. Who knows? You never can tell. One can never tell. Of course, I didn't like the guy from the beginning. The first day I met him, when I was I saw he was. See, I'm a better judge of person because I've been screwed over so many times that I could tell when somebody's kind of a con or something, And I guess I was wincing a little bit when because a friend of mine was there who was the intermediary. You try talking 5:28 in the morning a.m. on a hump day, Wednesday, the 20th October, 2021 in the former United States. And, so I guess I was wincing, whatever the heck that is, when he was talking about the price. And because I'm thinking, look, you get on a ladder and you just nail down to a couple of, you slap on some tar, which I was going to give him. I've got a can of it. Slap down some tar. I got some roofing nails. You see any other loose nails, any other loose, shingles or whatever, nail those in with these roofing nails, put a little tar over them so they don't leak, and just cover the hole. Job done. You're done in an hour. I just don't have a 40-some foot ladder and the ability, and I'm not going up 40-some feet, on a ladder. If I had one. But anyway, so, and the guy calls me an old timer because I was he saw my looking at the price as if an old timer. I said that to a friend of mine yesterday and they just looked at me old timer. Do I look like an old timer? I mean, I'm no spring chicken, but I'm certainly not an old timer. I got a lot of stories. Got a lot of stories to tell. Old timer.
The Weather Watch forecast.
Yeah, let's take a look. Here's the latest view. Taken just probably an hour or so ago. I don't know. As you can see, the east coast and most of the south of the former United States is clear. It's going to be real sunny except around maybe, BC, that area, Delaware, they call that the Delmarva Peninsula. There's a little bit of clouds up there, and I guess along, you got to get your states right. People really criticize you. But some little in North Carolina, heading into Virginia, I guess that is. Yeah. And then some crazy stuff going on up on the border with Canada, the border states, all the way out to the west, except for a little clearing there somewhere in the middle of nowhere where nobody lives, and you could probably buy a house as cheap as I bought my house. So, so if you're in, 3/4 of the country today, expect a sunny day. Temperature here right now is only 52 degrees. It was originally supposed to go down to the high 40s. I'm really glad that it didn't break 50. It's going to go down to 50 before, it's said and done. Because when the night gets as dark as the night's going to get, it'll drop a couple more degrees at 7 a.m. just before sunrise, which is 7:32 today here at my neck of the woods. And for Wednesday, it just has a nice big sun. Sun and 68. But see, the reason I wanted to do this, and, I have to keep this up while I'm doing this, is that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday where I am is Thursday, it's going to rain. Friday, chance of thunderstorms. Saturday, chance of thunderstorms. So, and I can't take those two. I can have 3 days in a row of rain.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
The Weather Watch forecast.
Yeah, I accidentally pushed the wrong one, but you get the idea. It's ROCKFLUX, and that was a weather watch forecast. And that like comes from the radio title card. Good old radio transistor radios. This is the top of an old transistor radio. Isn't that cool? I mean, this is an enlargement. Transistor radio, AM radio. They didn't have FM when this one was made. I have a knockoff AM radio. Here, this is like a knockoff. This is like a Radio Shack knockoff. But the thing is, it works. Let's see.
Today, would whatever it is be easier with faster, more reliable home internet? If you said yes.
Still works. These things are great. You know what I mean? Let me get rid of this stupid freaking title card. These things I keep up for too long. It's got the little thing where you could rest it, on the beach or on your table. It's got AM, FM on it. And these little things here, which are hard to see, but I guess if I hold them up really close and get it towards the light, you can't really see, but that's your channel. It says transistor there. It's a big, nice speaker. Yeah. Hey, when the power goes out, transistor radio comes in handy. So one of the other things, right before I went to bed, I was watching a little more of this La Palma volcano. Here's just a picture of that. And the way this thing's shooting up, and this has been going on for a month now. And I touched on this briefly yesterday, but it's like, the toxins and all this soot that's going up. And I'll show you, we'll look at, I do have some Google News, which is absurd, but I wanted to put it on because there's a reference to something that might have something loosely related to this. But anyway, this guy BP, I don't know if you know who he is. He has this theory. I don't know if it's his or some other people too. But he did show it. So a paper. It was from, I don't know if it was from China or a scientific paper from some university, where they had several years back had proposed that some of these volcanoes would hit oil or natural gas veins underground, which would enhance, whatever. And so he was showing footage, and you even look at this thing. This has been going on for a month. And if you watch it for if you sit there and watch it for 10 minutes or so, the live feed, which you can watch on YouTube, I mean, the way this thing's shooting up, it's shooting up like a gas jet or something. So you got to wonder if it just hit some natural gas, deposit. And it must be a big one, because it's shooting up. And speaking of that, this morning, so today's such a crazy day. So I got furnace people coming to check that phone call I had yesterday that interrupted my show if I do have a regular listener or two. These weatherization people are coming in to supposedly fix my furnace. So I want to be up in the attic finishing this thing because I want to get this done, man, because my body's sore. I just want to be done. Some things, done is done, right? Freedom is fun. Done is done, right? Like I say, that task is over. I really need 3 days to do what I want to do, but I'm going to have to go up right after this show, and because it's a 3-step process to seal these holes properly. And yesterday was step 1, but I filled. See, the good part about it is I was able to pull out stuff and saw open this area, and I was able to actually see this stripe of light, of air, sky, whatever, it's thin, but that's where the water was coming in and why I was having that crazy stuff. I don't know if I still have any of that, none of that stuff here. No, I don't. I'm not going to pull it up. If I had it up, I would. So I put in this sealant. Stuff's not cheap either that I got at the box store yesterday. And I would say 95% or more, you couldn't see any sky. So I got it in that hole. And the temperature didn't drop below 50 overnight, and I did that yesterday, like I say, after lunchtime. So, that stuff usually, that should be dry. But I want to put this mesh over top of it, and then I want to, over top of that mesh, I want to put another sealant on, paint on a thick sealant, like a roof sealant. To just doubly cover that hole to deal with the pounding type of idea of rain and stuff. And then, see, I wanted that sealant to dry, and I'm hoping, so I'm going to take a break, and hopefully at that point, in an ideal world, the guy will come to fix the furnace. I've got some things to do in the basement while he's down there anyway. I got to shut off my water for the winter, and because I have an outdoor outlet, I got to shut it off and do all that stuff. Put some insulation on a pipe that leads under my back porch area. And then I hope that sealant dries enough, because then I got a bunch of cans of that great stuff, big gap filler, right, which is weather resistant, not waterproof necessarily. And I want to fill that void with that expanding foam. And then just and then be done with it and seal it up, and then just put some plastic. And then under it, I'll keep some trays and stuff in case there's a leak or something. That's the plan. And I'm hoping this will at least get me through, into next year, into the spring or summer, through the winter and the spring rainy season. And then maybe do something more elaborate. Or get some guy that I feel more confident about. Or with. Or about. Or whatever it is. So let's look at this. So, contempt report approved for Bannon. Like, what? Let that thing go. Right? It wasn't what they said it was. It was a bunch of people like at a football game getting overly rambunctious and stuff. I mean, the bad thing that came out of it was what happened was the Capitol cop that shot an unarmed woman, right? I mean, it was just, it was an out of control street thing. That's why I say I'm against rallies, I'm against protests, I'm against stuff like that. Because, people follow the mob. There were probably people just following, the group, right? Fortunately, I've never put myself into that situation. Anyway, so Steve Bannon, that's nuts. So now, so enough of that. Because I'm not political on this show, and I'm, forget that half my face is covered here. Now, speaking of which, so Biden, he agrees he's going to cut free college. Like, these are the things, everything the guy ran on is like he's doing the complete opposite right now. Except this so-called climate thing, which we'll get into because that's a fraud. He's cut free college elder care. But Pentagon will get more funds. So beef up the military. All right. But here's the scary one. And the world is banking on giant carbon-sucking fans to clean our climate mess. We don't have a climate mess. And you better not take the carbon out of the air. I mean, you're going to see trees and crops and flowers and everything wilting and just like... That's like saying, let's get rid of the humans and let's have these giant oxygen-sucking fans to clean up the human mess. This is This is a carbon-based planet with the primary life form on this planet is carbon-based. CO2 it breathes. And they've got these people so frickin' like mind-warped. The world, because already I told you, Gates and those guys have this program they call it a test program, but it's already in process where they've been like putting particulate matter to dim the sun. Meanwhile, you've got this volcano. I forget how many dozens of volcanoes are going off right now all around the planet because our magnetic field's weak. The sun is in solar minimum, grand solar minimum. And so cosmic rays are coming in, heating all this magma in the earth. We live on the crust of this planet that's basically got all this liquid in it. And that's what this lava is. Like I say, these people don't know where they live, the planet. It's a big risk. Now, when they say it's a big risk, they're not saying the big risk I'm talking about because this is like CNN. They're thinking, like it might not work or blah, blah. No, the big risk is that it could kill off all plant life on this planet and trees. Talk about the Amazon. They call it the lungs of the earth. So you're going to like giant carbon-sucking fans? Look, they're already built. These things who knows? They've already been testing and using these things. These are the guys messing up the atmosphere and the climate. For crying out loud. And look at this. Newsom expands drought emergency proclamation to include all of southern Cal counties. Okay. I went through this in another show because I lived in Southern California. All right. I've been, 3 different times or something like that. And I know people from Southern. It never rains in California, but girl, don't they warn ya. Was it like a pop top 10 or top 40 song in the 70s? Speaking of, AM radio, right? There's no drought emergency, man. It's a desert. It's a frickin' desert. See, these people are so young, like Newsom. See, yeah, I guess I am a old timer. These people don't know that the world is carbon based and that we're carbon based life form, and that the trees and plants and crops, the stuff we eat, and that the trees and the plants that give us oxygen to breathe need CO2 and 0.004 CO2. We could go to 5, man. We should. They don't even know that because they're kids. That's right. You could be 30 and 40. They're 40-year-old Peter Pan kids. And you ever look at Newsom, he's a soy boyish looking guy, just like that Trudeau, right? You notice all these climate guys, they're all like soy boy, little like fairies walking around. And I don't mean that in a way somebody thinking has to do with some sexual preference. I mean like, Peter Pan. All right? Soy boy. I never want to grow up, right? Southern California isn't in a drought. It's a fucking desert. I lived there 1 year. It never rained for the entire year. One entire year. I know. I had a car there. It was like the dust and stuff. It was ridiculous. Most people were like going. There was like a car wash on every corner, right? Because they had plenty of water coming down from the north until these people who are like built these almond farms who make almond milk for these soy boys, basically, almond boys. All this vegan. I mean, it is like, it's a clusterfuck. Things are so outrageous right now, and I'm sorry, it's, I have to this show. It is a fucking clusterfuck. These people are so out of touch with fucking reality. And then this thing, at least 7 bodies found since this Gabby whatever vanished as more remains discovered in Colorado or something. This so-called, there's something like 90,000 homicides or 19,000 homicides a year, whatever the heck it is. It's a ridiculous number either way. That are unsolved every year. 19,000, I think it is. 20,000. So they pick this person. This is the news. This is on Google frickin' News. And of course, they're discovering 7 other bodies. Yeah, because there's like 20,000 people killed every year in the United States. Every 5 years, that's 100,000 people are murdered. Homicides. Most of which go unsolved. They don't catch the person. That's, isn't that ridiculous? So, I mean, man, I didn't want to get worked up on this, but, geez. It's pretty crazy.
At this point, there is no really authentic way for us to say who or what to look for and guard yourself against. Misshapen monsters. Reaction of law enforcement officials is one of complete bewilderment at this hour. So far, we have been unable.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Let's try to get back to some semblance of reality. Jeez, here. Anyway, so let's move on to music. Three Dog Night. Now, that's a very old album cover. That might be their original album cover. They said a lot of bands in the old days, it used to be just the name of the band. Their first album was always just the name of the band. You know, be like introducing it. Three Dog Night. And so the three singers are the guys in the center. Right? And I don't know if you know the name Three Dog Night, the terminology there. That's like kind of an Australian term. But it's not Three Dog Night, it's Two Dog Night. So, you know, because you go out with a dingo or whatever. You go out into the outback and it's cold. And so you're sleeping in your tent or you're, just out there under the stars with your dog, And so the dog, it's one dog, you and your dog are warming each other up. It's that shared body warmth, for a guy out there campfiring type of, just going out camping. And so a two dog night would be an expression that means, man, it's going to be cold. It's a two dog night, right? Two dogs. So Three Dog Night is not really a term, but anyways, the band Three Dog Night. Something you probably didn't know. Maybe Three Dog Night fans didn't know that. But anyway, this band was pretty big in the late 60s, early 70s. And they had a lot of hits. I mean, they're best known for one is the loneliest number, And a lot of their songs they covered. They covered that song, Ooh, She May Be Weary. Young girls, they do get weary. That song. And they did a pretty good version of that and kind of brought that back. But some of their other songs, and I even made a little list here because I had to. But if you want to, get turned on to this band, I'm not going to recommend a particular album. You just might want to tell your voice assistant, play, now that, let's Citronella Candle from Apple, but, otherwise use your Echo Dot. But I was just thinking here, so I jotted them down so I wouldn't forget. Eli's Coming. That's like an upbeat one. Eli's a coming. And then but they had a lot of mellow hits. Like Out in the Country was a pretty cool song. That kind of went like. I haven't picked up this guitar in a while, so I don't know. It's in tune, but that went something like. Let's see. I could remember it. Whenever I wanna leave it all behind. Anyway, neat chords. Slightly out of tune, but those are great. It's a great chord. Those major 7 chords. Out in the Country. I already said one. Then there's another one. Mama told me not to come. Mama told me not to come. This is the craziest party I've ever seen. Don't turn on the lights. I don't want to see no more. Or something like that. And then a slower one. Easy to be hard. Easy to be, forget how that went. Anyway, Three Dog Night, Blast from the Past. If you never heard them, just rediscover them or discover them. If you haven't heard a Three Dog Night song in a while, you might want to check out, Eli's Coming. If you're in a rockin' mood, Eli's Coming. Mama Told Me Not to Come. If you're in a mellow mood, out in the country, Easy to Be Hard, Like I say, One was like one of those overplayed songs. One is the loneliest. I mean, that probably made it to number one, So I don't know. I just remember it was played far too much. But a band first worth featuring. Three Dog Night. Get your voice assistant to play it. And now that they've put the Citronella Candle, Apple, has stolen basically the, I have a copy of it still. I kept it here. Now that they've stolen the Echo Dot idea from Amazon, I just still can't believe that. I was telling somebody yesterday that when we were driving to the box store. I said, it's because, when I thought about it, because I remember if we were went to the website yesterday, and they did even have one like in, this color. Like there was even one that was like this, the grayish type of thing. Black and, So anyway, that's the thing, So I guess we'll see if Microsoft comes out with one, or the Google Android version, is next. I mean, if there's no lawsuit by by Amazon against Apple, I guess there'll be an Android thing. Of course, Android will probably be cooler, and they'll come out with a Cube or something, right? Weird, but anyway. Yeah, Three Dog Night. Check it out. Featured album of the day. Featured band of the day, I should say. I mean, that album, their first album, had a couple of those songs on it. Was like hit thing. So they kind of like they hit the stage, so-called, running and whatever. So I would recommend Three Dog Night. And we're starting to get into, weather-wise, into Three Dog Nights. That's for sure. My cat sleeps on top of me, like my legs and stuff. And it's like, they just like to. Yesterday I found him. Well, I have radiator system, like old-fashioned radiators. And it was kind of cold yesterday because it was that weird temperature where, the heat's not going to go on until it gets down to a certain, because the house maintains, this house holds heat pretty well, actually, I must say so. And one of the things good about it. And so the heat wasn't really turning on. And so he was hanging on my lap for a little while I was watching the playback of this thing, because I was waiting for someone to come down and go to the box store. And then he disappeared. And then I keep the phone, my portable phone, old-fashioned. It's like, the basically portable phone that you put back on the thing, the charger. Because I don't use the cell phone thing. And I went in to put it back on the charger because I was going to go downstairs and wait for my ride to the box store. And he was actually on top of the radiator, which is very uncomfortable if you've ever seen these old radiators. But the radiator was on. It wasn't like steaming hot, but it was hot. But, the cats, they just love that heat, man. It's pretty crazy. And your daily reminder that the sun is our source of all heat and light, protects us. Its magnetic field extends out through the solar system, protects the planet, including the Earth. We're in a grand solar minimum. Our magnetic field is weak, and we don't have the protection of the sun's magnetic field as much as we normally do. And that's why we're seeing, this kind of, not that guy. Well, we're seeing this, this uptick in volcanic activity. And what I was trying to say is, these morons here who are talking about giant carbon sucking fans? How about giant sulfur dioxide sucking fans? Or ash sucking fans? Or a movement, a cease and desist order on Bill Gates and these like MIT or whoever else is involved in these experiments where they're putting particulate matter in the sky to dim the sun, the source of vitamin D. All right? What am I doing? D3. Because these things don't really work. I mean, that was the conclusion. I spent an hour going to looking through 20 some videos or more. And I'm trying to get a clear message. Yeah, you can get it from fatty foods like fatty fish, omega-3s. But you can't really eat fatty fish now because it's all, it's either filled with mercury or the West Coast salmon and all that stuff still is all irradiated stuff still from Fukushima and stuff. And the pollution of, they're dumping garbage and waste and stuff in California. The hypocrisy of Newsom, right? Newsom expands drought emergency proclamation. It's a fucking desert. It's California, southern, that's SoCal, he says there. That's Southern California, SoCal counties. Southern California is a frickin' desert. Newsom, soy boy. Didn't you go, I guess you're too young to have gone to school. They didn't teach you. See, they got these people frickin' brainwashed. They actually believe that CO2 is a problem. They have no idea what the sun is, a CME, Earth's magnetic field. They have no idea about any of this. That guy keeps plopping up. Where's this frickin' thing? Jeez. With all the volcanoes going off right now, these dozens and dozens of volcanoes going up. And this has been doing this for a month now, putting all this soot and these real toxins. Okay, talk about save the planet. Real toxins, all right, in the atmosphere. Okay, you're talking acid rain, type of stuff. People forget about the real what pollution is, not CO2, all right, invisible gas that the trees breathe, all right, and then in turn give us oxygen and green the planet, right? See, they used to call them like the Green Party and stuff. That's like, they don't call it global warming anymore. They call it climate change because they realized the planet was cooling, not heating up. So they changed it to climate change. It's like the Green Party. Well, the Green Party shouldn't be against CO2 because CO2 is what greens the planet. But the Green Party, they used to be against pollution. But they look the other way when California, New York, and New Jersey and these soy boy type of places are dumping in the oceans and waterways and landfills. And they're not even paying attention to this thing. This thing's going off for a month now. Imagine the amount of soot. All right. The earth is cooling. It's pretty sick. Anyway, we've been seeing this picture pop up accidentally so many frickin' times. Freedom is fun. Simple, basic, clear shirt, no super fancy stuff. A kind of a cool font. It's a nice font. It's a fun font. That's the way I looked at it. That's why I chose it. A fun font. And, you wear that. The statement it makes and how you can, you make your statement without being in somebody's face. Oh man, I'm tired still. I don't know. Well, I guess the digestion process must be from that. They say that with dairy, being that I had some yogurt. I only ever put like a little couple spoonfuls of yogurt in, like a half a if yogurt comes in one of those containers, I only use half of it. I use it instead of milk because I've never been a milk drinker. I'm not like lactose intolerant or anything, but I just never really. But I eat cheese. I love cheese. It's a weakness of mine. I can't believe I lost like 2 pounds after eating that hoagie submarine sandwich, hoagie, hero, all the names they have for those things, right? I thought I'd be up a couple of pounds after that. It was tasty, man. It had all the right meats in it. It was like an Italian sub. It had the hard salami, that kind of stuff. It wasn't like made, some people make these subs and it's like bologna and cheese. It's like, that's not a sub. I don't know what the hell it is. It's a kid sandwich. That's for babies. Mommy, make me a bologna and cheese sandwich, right? And cut the crust off, right? That's what Gavin Newsom, grew up on that, PB&Js and mac and cheese, comfort food. But anyway, freedom is fun, man. Get it through your thick skulls. Be free. This is the thing. Before it's too late. And fortunately, I found out that
people, you sit there, you're in for one big surprise. People, you sit there, you're in for one big surprise. People, you sit there, you're in for one big surprise.
That is just, in the playback, I realize the sound is there. It's just too cool, man. That is the coolest thing. That's the new thing that we need to milk, Yeah. So we're getting closer to Halloween. This is a little interesting clip. So, you'll know where this is from. But this is fun as we get in closer to the season. Because for a lot of people, I mean, for me, a lot of people really are into this. I don't know.
He was such a nice boy.
You should have handled him more carefully.
Who?
Michael Myers.
Michael Myers?
Yeah, he was the guy that was after you.
In the Myers house? That little kid who killed his sister?
Yeah.
But he's in a hospital somewhere.
He escaped last night.
How do you know?
It's all over the radio. Television, too. It's on right now.
Why me? Why me?
Scream.
Yeah, Halloween. How many times will that be watched? The original one too, right? Freedom is fun, Freedom is fun. I'm telling you, despite this.
Your papers, please.
I mean, and certainly this show.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
There's so much variety on this show. It's a variety show, morning show, variety show. And that's what radio was all about, and that's like the theme of this show. That's why I put the transistor up. Because, man, radio was great. And I was on an AM radio. My first job was an AM radio station. Sunday night DJ was on for, I don't know, Sunday nights, couple hours. And I was playing oldies back then, which were real oldies. So, there's a moon out tonight, that kind of stuff. Which, speaking of which, there is a moon out. I woke up this morning. My hallway, I can look at, I have a window that faces west. And the past 2 mornings when I got up, because I got up, it's dark. It's dark out right now here. 6:10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And I noticed I have like a stained glass at the top of it, but I have like a slither of an opening so I could look out. It's interesting. When you have your own house, you'd custom design it. And so I have a blind there. And so I opened up the blind, peeked out, and there was the moon's like full. Or near full. It's been full to near full the past 2 nights. I could check. I'm not going to. Look up, look up. Get out. Get your face out of this stupid freaking thing. And look up in the sky. There's a moon out tonight. Transistor radio. But problem is, speaking of vitamin D, this time of year, you're not getting it from that ball in the sky. Wheel in the sky keeps on turning, That thing's not going to be turning or churning out any much vitamin D in a northern tier. In my neck of the woods, so I got to take supplements. So I was watching like 20 some videos, did a search on YouTube, vitamin D type of thing, right? And all these doctors, these are all doctors. There were like presentations that were clearly at like medical centers, the guy with the white, guy or woman, female doctor with the, the white jacket on and their name, MD, next to it, and the medical center written underneath it, speaking, totally like serious presentations, right? Recorded for, actually probably to nurses, RNs, and other physicians. I'm watching like 20 of these different things like this because I want to get the story. And they're all doing the same thing. They're all like showing, the full name of this. And, it's a real long name. It ends up with like Farrell or something weird like that. And D2, D3, and how it goes, it's fat soluble and it gets into the liver and then in through the kidneys and, into the blood and, all this, and then, it either, in children, a deficiency causes rickets, and in adults, it's like there's 2 osteo. Like, one is like, I don't know, feels like my ear. Weird. Something in the headphones. But it was nothing. But, one's osteo with an M, one's osteoporosis or something like that. But nobody would tell you, and apart from talking about fatty fish as a food source, they were all saying the best source is from the sun, and, and it's based on your skin tone. The lighter your skin, the less, if you have like fair skin, you only need to go out for 5 or 10 minutes in the sun. But it has to be at that time. I have an app where the sun's at a certain angle and you're actually getting that. And here's one you might not know, one I learned yesterday, that if you're in your house or you have a sunroom, like people have sunrooms, that the UVB rays are the ones that give you the vitamin D, okay? But the other UV, whatever that is, UV something, like I say, don't profess to be a doctor and don't take any of this as medical advice. This is what I heard. That the glass blocks the UVB. So like you feel his heat. You could sit in like your house and you got this glass sunroom and you're thinking you're getting vitamin D and all you're doing is getting a sunburn or something. So, further investigate that, talk to your health professional or whatever. So the point of the matter is there's nothing better than vitamin D from the sun is the real takeaway. But the problem is in like certain northern latitudes, it has to do with axial tilt and why we have seasons and all that stuff. But really it's kind of April to September, early October, that kind of thing. So from like November to March, you got to get vitamin D. You need vitamin D, man. Like it's the key. It's the immune thing. It's good for bones, and all that stuff. It's very important. But I couldn't get an answer from these guys. None of them seemed to explain how to take the supplements. Like even on this bottle, it says, and it's such micro print. Why they do this? Directions for adults. I mean, this is so tiny. 1 capsule. How many times a day? Up to 2 times daily, preferably with meal. And then as a reminder, supplements, your talk to your healthcare provider type of thing. So it's like preferably with a meal. But, then I swear I saw this one where they were saying it was fat soluble, like it was like turmeric, that you should take it with some kind of fatty food. But I don't know if that's true. See, the thing is, you want an answer. That's why I say the internet's useless. Wikipedia is useless. And they've got AI, like tied into the internet, like as if because that's its memory banks, as they used to say in the old days, old sci-fi, right? Well, the problem is the memory banks of the internet are already corrupted, right? It's like HAL 9000 from 2001. The memory banks are corrupted. So you're not going to get a straight answer. I want to know what do I do from November? Let me get rid of this thing so you can see my stupid idiotic counting. November, December, January, February, March. 5 frickin' months. Fingers. The longer your fingers, the longer your... What? It has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with anything. I used to know some guy who was like 4 foot tall and had the biggest you-know-what. Anyway, women's urban legends and wives' tales. So... couldn't get a straight answer. There's a moon out tonight. Playing on an AM 8 transistor radio. The more transistors, the better. Right? Because that was the equivalent of tubes. You're on YouTube. So a transistor took the place of a tube. Aren't these cool? I'll trade you this tube for a fossil, a fern fossil. Fern fossils are very common. I used to have a bunch of them, but I think my mom threw them away when I went to college. There's a moon out tonight. You know, you get something in your head and it's crazy.
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
I don't know. I just can't get this moon out tonight out of my head. This is the show about AM radio. Did I ever post my thing? Morning has broken like the first morning. The title of this show is And the Beat Goes On. ROCKFLUX. It's kind of a music radio show type of thing. What a day. What a day it has been. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I might as well get into some upbeat waking myself up. I slept enough. 6:21 a.m. on the radio. You're listening to Tony Caravan live. The 20th of October, 2021. And
taking you back to the realms and depths of time.
You betch'em. You betch'em. So, yeah, I hate when you have these convergence of things. And yesterday, so 7:12 in the morning, while I was doing the show, if you were watching, a woman calls to tell me about this, to deal with this weatherization people to fix my freaking furnace. And she said, okay, she'll send the paper, she'll fax the paperwork to some other bureaucracy. And they'll be in touch with me. And so sure enough, when I came back from the box store, there was a message, missed the call. But luckily I called back. They knew who I was, gave them the information. And okay. And I'm upstairs working on the roof, getting tar, this black tar, whatever the heck it is. And it's a mess up there. It's going to be like 2 trash bags filled with the stuff. Luckily, I bought these weird gloves and stuff, but still. That's why I say I'm wearing this today because I had my shirt from yesterday I'm just going to wear because it's filled with tar or whatever this crap is, sealant. And I'm up there, phone rings again, and now it's the weatherization people, the final bureaucracy that is in charge of sending out the order to the contractor. And they had all these questions. Meanwhile, somebody called about my health care and said, did I get this thing? And I said, yeah, but it was all computerized. But I realized when I came downstairs, I don't think I got it. So I said I got it and I didn't get it. And I don't know. So now I'm going to have to go. I'll tell you, it's difficult dealing with the bureaucracy, and you have to wonder about, senior citizens, very old people that, that rely on this stuff and don't have the ability. So anyway, but they said, after I hung up with this third person, this from a third bureaucracy involved in this whole process, that someone would be coming, that as if the person might be coming over yesterday afternoon into the evening or today. Now, I'm sure they'll show up today, all right? Because this is a gas furnace, so it's considered probably it's an emergency type of thing. Semi-emergency. But I had to I was tired and beat. Like I say, that's how I really lost weight because my body was I just lost a couple pounds just because I was dying. And I had to be alert and up, because at any given time, somebody's going to be knocking at my door and I got to take them down into the basement and show them this thing and all this crap. Having this thing hanging over your head. Well, anyway, they never showed. I have a note on the door. I finally went upstairs with the same note I had a different version, but the same concept. I'm upstairs. Please call this number if you need to, if you need to reach me. Now, hopefully a person didn't come and misread that and they're not going to show, I don't think I missed any calls. I could turn on my phone. I don't see if I have any missed phone calls. The last call I got yesterday was incoming, was at 1433 hours. So that's like 2:30. So no. New voicemail received yesterday. New voice message. But I would have gotten some. I think I know what that one was. Yeah, so, D3. So do you just take the capsule and you're going to get you through those 5 months? Because the conclusion of all these guys was the best way to get it was from the sun. And that even from these fatty, so-called fatty fish type of things, So it's like, I guess I should add to my list, which I have somewhere down here, I think, unless I threw it away. My grocery list. Sardines. Some people can't eat sardines. Do you know there's only one place that makes sardines? They used to have a place. There was a movie called Cannery Row with Nick Nolte. If you ever want to see a movie that's kind of quirky and weird, it's a Steinbeck. It's based on a Steinbeck book, but I mean, they took it off. They took it into made it really kind of weird. And it was that first movie that that actress, oh man, she just quit acting, cold turkey at one point, and then this other actress did a movie in search of her. What was she named? She was a cute girl, black hair. Anyway, just like I recommend an album, if you ever want to just see a real quirky, weird movie, Cannery Row. Anyway, Cannery Row is where they would can fish, and that was on the West Coast, right? All those canneries have closed down. And supposedly, allegedly, in the U.S. anyway, there's only one cannery left, and it's somewhere up in New England. I don't know where. So that's where unless you're getting something imported from Tunisia where they don't have used toilet paper, it's like, I don't think I want sardines from Tunisia. But unless you get it from, you see olive oil. Whenever I look for olive oil in a grocery store, sometimes they'll say it has a couple of sources. And if one of those sources, there's like a flashing light out there. It's 6:29. There's no way in hell that the guy could come to fix my furnace this early. But if there's a knock on my door, I don't care if he does. I'll just have to close the show down early because I got to take care of this stuff. That's weird. It's one of those like, I think it's moving on. It was like one of those flashing yellow lights that you would have on a truck like that. But anyway, if I'm getting olive oil and it's the sources say like Spain, some other place, and Tunisia, I always like, just, it's just from some Navy friends of mine who were stationed, when their ship or their sub would pull into Tunisia. That was the thing. Hey, they don't use toilet paper in Tunisia. I don't know. That was years ago. Maybe they do now. I don't want any meat packers or olive oil. Anybody making meat packers kind of sounds weird, today's day. But I don't want anybody who's like putting food, any kind of food together, coming from a place where they don't use toilet paper. Okay. Sorry, Tunisia, if you have changed. It's an old story from my old Navy buddies used to tell me. I personally never was stationed in Tunisia or never docked there. Okay. Anyway.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
The only station that matters.
So, we're an hour and 10 minutes into this show already, you know. It wouldn't have been surprising if it was that guy. Anyway, the earlier we get done, the earlier I could get on with this ridiculous day that's going to be. It's like everything converges at once, and then you have this day and there's like absolutely nothing to do, right? You got nothing to do at all. And today I've got to work myself off. I got all this work to do myself. And I have to have this like radar up for this guy who's going to be coming at some point to fix the furnace in the basement. Craziness. But isn't it always that way? Like, so I wonder like why these people think that we're in a simulation and stuff, why people have those whole ideas. Because sometimes things are just so weird coincidences, so strangely bizarre, you know. It just seems somehow like it's some, you know, you're just, you know, under the thumb or under the control, or it's like, or predetermined. It was yesterday's card. You are not free, you know. It's everything, you're predetermined. Well, that's from the corporatocracy. Today's just a little more fun and a little more generalization, even though I started out on that negative rant looking at those idiocy of the news and why I don't watch the news. And if I didn't do this show and just click, because you know, as you know, I don't even put the Google News up every day. And I just looked, and when I saw that, I'm thinking, see, you could fool most of the people because people don't travel the way, you know, we all used to. You know, it's like that. One of my cards on one of my shows was like, you know, the VW bus, right? A bunch of people hanging out. It was a posed picture, but I mean, it was the same idea. But it's like, are you going to San Francisco, right? Or Woodstock, you know? It's like, you know, people used to, you know, college age or just out of high school, you know, people would travel, you know, and go places. We used to always go to the shore. One time we were at the end of the summer, before the summer was over, we just all hopped in a car, went down to Lauderdale. I think I told that story once, just crashed on the beach. I drove across the country to California myself a couple of times in my car. And been in all these other states, you know, and had jobs and this, that, the other, and then flown places and stuff. But people don't travel, so they hear these stories, you know, on the news, and they just assume that this announcer, that it's the truth. And the thing is, the announcer themselves is reading this story, and they assume it's the truth because they've never been either, right? They got a job out of college working as a, you know, as some newsreader. And so people's experience today, you know, a lot of people, it's a generalization, of course. But a lot of people's travel experience, is like a vacation, a week or two somewhere. Oh, yeah, we went to California last year to go to Universal Studios or whatever. Well, that's not like, you don't know California. You don't know, Southern California. Yeah. Oh, we went to Hollywood and we walked the Walk of Fame and saw the Chinese theater. That's a tourist thing. Now, you got to live in a place to understand it. It's like I said, I lived in LA for, at one stretch, because I've moved around and lived in different places and had different jobs. So I'll have a job for a couple of years here, a couple of years there. I've had a full life. But at one point, I was in LA for a full year minimum, and it never rained for another year, for an entire year. And I remember, and that's how I knew locals. I knew guys who, I had a business partner who was from, his family had moved there, and he was born in California, in LA, actually in the, over the hills, the valley. And he had a daughter who was a real valley girl. She had that she talked like that. Yeah, he was older than I was. And his daughter was a valley girl. And it was hilarious. The people even know what a valley girl is. That's another movie if you want to have a laugh. And that was another Nicolas Cage for some reason, speaking of which. Valley Girl, Nicolas Cage movie. Seems he was in all the classics, and, while mentioning it, Leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage. I mean, what a character actor, Nicolas Cage. I mean, he's done a few movies that were kind of weird. Like when he tried to go the almost the Travolta route, where I guess his agent probably pushed him into doing some of these like over the top movies. But Nicolas Cage was always best as a character, as a real character actor. I mean, he still is. But yeah, this guy's daughter was a valley girl. But I knew Californians, because I lived there. And so, yeah, it's a desert, man. It's a desert. And when you drive, excuse me, that's an anti-sneeze thing. By the way, a lot of people don't know this. If you're going to sneeze and you're in a public place and you don't have a handkerchief or something weird like that, or you don't want to pull it out because apply pressure, like right here, and you won't sneeze. It's like the nerve or something weird like that. It works. I mean, don't break your nose or anything weird like that. But yeah. It's a desert. Southern California is a desert. SoCal. Drought. Stop diverting the water to these almond farms and stuff. It's the classic case of the hypocrisy of the ruling elite, and and all of that. Because Northern California is full of, vineyard country and all of that. But they grow things like they have almond farms and different things like that. And, yeah, it's pitiful. And actually some of the serious farmers are not getting water. And then they'll tell people down in SoCal that they can only take like one shower a week or something weird like that. Or you can't, It's crazy. But what I'm getting at is it's the same with professors. So people go to college and they have a professor, and the professor's teaching them some kind of thing, like one of these weird CO2 things or something. Well, the problem is the professor only knows what they were taught. So they might have gotten a PhD, but in the books and by the people who taught them, they were taught the wrong thing. And that's how it happens. It's like it's almost like college. This whole climate crisis thing is like an urban legend, a rumor, by gossips. And there's like, someone would hear me say that and they go like, oh, that guy's crazy. Turn that guy off. He's a whack job. No, I'm serious. Think about it. You don't know what you don't know. This thing I have above me here, right? You don't know what you don't know. And in the case of a lot of these people, everything you know is wrong. And that's why it's, game over. It was very difficult to do that, too, because I have to look in the opposite direction of what my reflection, the image on the screen is, because everything's backwards. I did a good job. But it's the truth. So, you have to keep that in mind. So these news people, they graduated from college and they were taught by a professor who was taught by someone else and from a textbook that had already been like kind of revisionist history or has, is just not factual. So they believe what they believe. The thing is, they're not, a lot of these people, there are these narcissistic sociopaths, psychopaths, and just downright, deceivers, liars, and, malicious people out there. That's a fact is a fact. Most of them are politicians and a lot of them are in the media. They're just rotten, no good people. They don't care about you. They're like Bill Gates. These people are like depopulation, get rid of this, or Henry Kissinger, we've got to get rid of the useless eaters, and all that stuff. Or like I did yesterday on the show, might as well do it again, right? People are just, we're just cattle to them. There is that. But there's a lot of innocence in it. And that's why you have to have discerning, capabilities within your bioelectric brain to see through this and think and have common sense and think about it and say and say, hey, maybe that guy's right. Trees, plants, flowers, crops, they're all over the place and they breathe CO2. Maybe CO2 is the thing that greens the planet. You got to like look at logic. Hey, maybe that, giant ball in the sky that, gives us sun and vitamin D and activates like 1,000 things within your body, boosts your immune system, gives you strong bones, protects the earth, from cosmic rays and stuff like that. Maybe there's something to the fact that, our climate is controlled by the sun, the thing that actually isn't out now, and that's why it's cold outside. A lot of this stuff is just common sense. But these guys are out there, 0.004, we got to like put these giant fans and take the CO2. It's like, what are you doing? You'll kill the life forms of the planet. Man. But there, some of these people who are parroting this stuff and typing these stories out and putting them out on Google News, they're just oblivious. They don't know. They think it's the truth. They were taught it in college by a professor who was taught it when they went to school. This is the year 2021. That's why I constantly say that. And people like, why does he keep saying that? Yeah, we know what year it is, you dumb fuck. The reason I keep repeating it is because 21, all right? That means, you could there are people graduating college who were born in the year 2000. All right. Okay. And I'll tell you, by the time 2000, that was like the internet, the height of the internet. Talk about conspiracy theories on the internet and stuff like that. Right. And the late 90s, things had started already falling apart. So these people have grown up in a world, of Wikipedia, internet websites, Yahoo News, and all this other crap, Google fixing, algorithms, everything, the corporatocracy world. So you don't know what you don't know. Everything you know is wrong. I mean, it's a generalization, but it's like, it's a reality for a lot of people. And so, yeah, it's important to basically repeat that. It's 2021, man. Well, actually, it's almost 2022. We're only a couple months away now. All right. That means you got basically a generation. You got people from, born in 2000 who technically would be graduating college, who are all 21st century, people. They were born in the 21st century. They just don't know what life was like. And that's like, look at this 8 transistor radio. They don't know, like, freedom is fun. They don't know what it's like, to travel with friends in a, VW bus or just, pile into a Vega. I think that's how we went down to Lauderdale. It was like 4 or 5 guys like piled into this Vega. I think it was the name of the car, Vega or something like that. I'll tell you, it was an uncomfortable ride. But, or travel yourself across the country. Be able to just stop somewhere and get a job or go into a bar, get a cheap motel, $19.95. We'll leave the lights on for you. Price of gas was less than $1 and stuff. People don't understand that they talk, some people, the critics of what I'm saying will say, yeah, but if you adjust it for inflation. No, it's simply not true. The prices have gone up way beyond. I mean, we're in hyperinflation now. So, yeah, adjusted for hyperinflation, maybe. But no, when you hear people talk about, buying a 25 cent or 30 cent, 3 loaves of white bread for $1. I could remember that as a kid. And I'm not, I wasn't, I'm not that old. All right. I can remember that as a special at a grocery store. 3 loaves of like the long white bread, 3 for $1 on special. Especially around like Thanksgiving time when people made like homemade stuffing and stuff like that. Now they'll have it on special for $1 a loaf. That white bread around Thanksgiving time. But I'm saying, and that's not it. But otherwise, you pay $4 for a decent loaf of bread, right? $3 or $4. You're not going to get a loaf of bread for less than $1. You'll get like bleached white bread, on special. But that's not it. It's the idea of a car. I noticed on this street. See, one of the benefits of living where I live and why I chose this place, and like I say, I live around on the poverty line. I'm not interested in buying a car, okay? But there are 2 used car. There are 2 like garages where they sell used cars. Like they fix cars. I guess they buy them at auction or something like that. They fix them or they, whatever. Trade in cars, fix them. They're old time mechanics. The guys are into it. And so on their car lots here, ever since I've lived here, there have been cars on the lot, and decent cars, all right? And they've been for $29.95. You know, it's always a $9.95 or $9.99. I hate that stuff, but whatever. $3,000, but a lot ago, the usual price was $39.99. Okay, so like $4,000 for a used car that these guys have fixed, and they'll give you like a 6-month warranty on it, whatever, even. So you know that they fixed it and they're putting their name behind it, right? And I always told people, I said, you should buy, if you're in the market for buying a car and you don't have the money right now, and you don't want to have to worry about having a big, losing money on a down payment, buy one of these $3,000 cars. It's guaranteed for 6 months, and in 6 months, you'll use that trade-in will be the a lot of these car dealers will take a trade-in in lieu of a down payment. And so get a job, as long, anybody who, all you have to do is have proof of a job and they'll give you a car. And I said, and then so you could drive today instead of saying, well, it's going to take me 6 months to save up enough money for a down payment. I'm saying, no, you can drive today, buy one of these $3,000, $4,000 cars. On time payment, pay it off in 6 months. 3,000 divided by 6, it's $500 a month. Figure it out. You got a job. Whatever the case may be. Yesterday, when I was driving back from the box store, both of these places I saw they had cars on the lot. They were $59.99. So they were $6,000. So that the prices have gone up $2,000 to $3,000. And I said, person I was with, like, why? Right? What's changed? Nothing. They're just taking advantage, of this hyperinflation thing. Nothing changed. But maybe they need more money because stuff for them and their families cost more. Or they have to pay their mechanics more or something. I don't know. People are demanding more money. In order to keep their workers, they got to pay them more. So they had to raise the price of a car by $2,000. Now, these are used cars. Now, to most people, they're going like, well, you're crazy. Buying a car, even buying a car for $59.99, that's cheap. Where I live, a used car is $12,000. A new car should be $12,000, but new cars are like, $20,000 and $30,000. Like I say about washers and dryers and stuff. The cheapest washer and dryer you could get on sale now is like $599, like $600 for a washer or something. It's like I bought a washer and dryer set for that price. They should be like my washer was like $208, or the dryer was $208 and the washer was like $259 or something like that. Last time I, try finding those prices now, right? And this is like 6 years ago. It's out of control. It's the same with refrigerators. I bought a refrigerator for like $400. It's less than $500, which is still, I thought, was a lot of money, But, and knock on wood, these things are still working. I hope they keep working because that's the last thing in the world I want is to have to deal with that expense. Or have to go to a laundromat until I save up enough money to buy one of these overpriced machines. My credit isn't the greatest since I just have one credit card now. I live at the poverty level, so I have a credit card, but, I'm not, I don't have like these people have 800 credit or 720. I don't have that. I have mediocre credit because I don't use credit. If you don't use it, you don't get it. it just stays, stagnant. And I don't have that many bills, time payment bills to pay. But be that as it may. So there's a moon out tonight. Do people really look up and, when you get up this morning, if you're getting up for work, are you going to look up and see the moon? The full moon, or the morning star. It's like Venus, right? Isn't Venus the morning star? But that's in like the east. It's like the moon right now is in the west. I think the morning star is in the east, right before sunrise, right near where the sun comes up. I miss that because even in this neighborhood, which is just at the edge of town type of place, there's still street lights. And I have a paranoid neighbor who's got like her own street light thing in the back. She's afraid people are going to like climb over her fence and come and get her. And it's really annoying because I have motion detector lights and I have a security system. But my security system is motion detector lights and cameras, right? So if somebody tries like breaking in my place, it's like these lights, motion detector lights come on. I have a siren security thing if gates open, and then I have cameras. But otherwise, it's dark. So the idea is that if I want to stargaze, I could stargaze. If some asshole decides to try to break in or into the yard or something like that, it's going to be dang, 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 lights on, camera. You're caught. You're busted. But in the meantime, I can enjoy life. But instead, this other neighbor's got this light on like that's some deterrent. That's not a deterrent. You don't have a camera. So it's all it is, it's just like hiding the stars. Right? No, with thing about, I hate that. There's people in the city. That's what I'm saying. People don't know the planet they live on. All these people born in urban areas, but even in the suburbs, it's like all these lights. And I know it's like deterrent for crime because there's so many psychos out there. But it's just like, you just want to go back to the transistor radio days. I used to do this radio show. I walked about 2 miles to the station on a Sunday night. I was a kid. I got that job when I was a senior in high school. The principal gave it to me. I think I might have told that story. I was like I was the guy who was the editor of the underground newspaper in high school type of thing. And they thought, okay, we got to redirect this guy to something constructive. And it got me a job as DJ, which I could thank that guy for, because my radio career from there on in, I ended up becoming a general manager of a radio station. But I had other radio jobs along the way. I sold radio, had a good job. I got my first car, bought my first new car because I was a radio salesman, because you made good money selling radio. And, they called the radio, it was the number one radio station. And so I went into the dealership, picked the car out. They called, see work there. Oh, you work for that station? Yeah, okay, here. Sign here. I drove it off the lot. Drove it off the lot. Radio. So that started in high school. But I walked these dark streets 2 miles by myself when I was like 17, 18, senior in high school, whatever. No problems, Took the shortcuts through like back alleys and stuff like that rather than take some long route, There's a moon out tonight. whatever key you get into, and see how low you can go. Some of those shows where I was doing the Johnny Cash stuff, when I get up real early and my voice would be like really down there, I hear the train a coming. It's rolling down the bend. Some of those were like right on. It was hard to really get it back. Same with Elvis. Like, I've been so lonely. I've been so lonely. I've been so lonely I could die. Yeah, it's
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
It's a crazy show,
Good morning.
Anyway, I think we all had fun today. Those of you who are into this. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of anything. Just buy. Buy. Right? Get a shirt. Get a book. I should probably put, a picture of a shirt on here. I'm filling this closing page with so much. What was the one? What is the new shirt? Freedom. Yeah, freedom is fun. So, we'll just put a little mini freedom is fun over here. We got a little space to fill. I think I could send that to back. I'm not sure if that's possible. No. Well, I should be able to, but I don't want to. Anyway, yeah, this show's over. Good morning. Get a t-shirt, buy a book. Remember, get the print version of the book. Go to Great Solar Stuff, TonyCaravanLive.com, ROCKFLUX.com. It's been fun. Just don't be a fool. Don't let them don't let them play you for a fool. Use your own common sense. Wake up. I got a big day ahead of me, so I'm out of here. I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow.